You gonna put that up here? On your knee? Okay. Afternoon.
Doug, the thing you've come back to a couple times is about practicing and winning games in practice or putting yourself in position to. And last night you said we got to finish. We can't just show up and expect to finish. Are there days you leave the practice field and you say, heck, I didn't see what I wanted to see today, or is this a concern for you?
There are times throughout the course of the past couple of years, there might be a practice here or there where that might be the case, where you walk off the field like that wasn't good enough today, and quite frankly, we haven't had too many of those this year, honestly. And I guess what I mean by that is, when there's a defensive period, offensive period, it's just focusing in on those 6, 7, 8 plays, whatever they are, and finishing each play, making sure that you tap off on the runner or the receiver if you're a defensive guy, or if you're a receiver, you're blocking down the field, and you get in that habit of finishing the drill or finishing the play, and that carries over into the game. And if you can win those during the practice week, along with practicing well, that'll carry over into the game.
Have those practices that have been like that this year, have they correlated directly to losses, do you believe?
No, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I do think sometimes it can affect certain aspects of the game, but I don't think it necessarily comes down to the win or the loss. I think the wins and losses just comes down to execution and just what we're seeing and how we react in the game, and we got to just make more plays.
Doug, the first 15 plays are scripted, right? So you're practicing them during the week. So why is the execution not being carried over into the game, or do you think maybe you have to reevaluate the calls?
Well, I mean that's something I do each week. I do evaluate the calls because I put those together. That's solely on me, and I base it based on the film. I go back and look at all their games. And I see how they start that first series, that first drive, and try to put plays according to. And then I have to go back and look and see how we've started games by play call, play design, and so that I'm not repeating and having any indicators there. And in the case of some of our struggles, it has just been, quite frankly, just our execution, just sustaining a block or the read by the quarterback, and that's, to me, that's kind of where, if there's an urgency moment, how we start games, that's where the urgency, I think, coaches, players, everybody involved really needs to sort of heighten so that we can stay on the field and go down and score points.
So are you not seeing the same urgency, intensity, whatever you want to call it, in the first quarter that you're seeing later in games?
Well, I think it's probably evident by the way we played yesterday. And I think you go back a year ago when we played Dallas down there, we started that first half very sluggish, very slow. I think we scored 7 points in the first half. I think it was 9-7 or something like that a year ago, and then we took off in the second half. So I think that was a little part of it yesterday. But it that, and those are all things that I try to, as a coach, you try to prepare your team. You talk to your team about those things during the week. You educate your players on, hey, you're coming off a long break. It's been 2 weeks. That's why sometimes a break is, it's not so good sometimes, because you feel like you can just kind of keep playing, and keep your momentum going, and just our heightened awareness has to be sort of all in, especially when we start games.
Yeah, this team is no stranger to adversity. When you guys have been able to come out on the other side of it, what has allowed this team to find success?
I think the way this team just, and I've said this before, the resiliency of this group and how they bounce back on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday leading up the next week. But the thing is, we got to string more of these weeks together, with these wins, and that's not the case right now. And I mean, we can make excuses of injuries and all that kind of stuff, and we try not to do that. But we've just got to make sure that this group, and this is what I really respect about this group, and what I heard in the locker room after the game from some of our leaders, that they're disappointed. They're disappointed in the way they play. They're disappointed in the outcome of the game, and they know that we talk about having no regrets. No regrets during the week and no regrets on Sundays, and right now we got to continue to work on that.
Is it the first time though that you guys have said that messaging of having to look in the mirror, that you've had those had those moments where you haven't been able to fight through. So do you have to change your messaging at this point to come out on the other side?
Well, I think that's something I'd have to consider, quite frankly, because I don't know any other way to do it but to look internally. Am I giving enough as a head football coach? Am I giving enough to the team? Am I giving up? Am I sacrificing enough in my game planning, in my study during the week? So I got to look at myself, and that's what I ask the players to do. Is they got to look and see, are they getting extra conditioning? Are they getting extra film study during the week? Are they getting rest at night? That all those things are part of wins and losses, and so that's something that'll never change.
It does talk about in the past how offensive innovation in this league is quickly followed up by defenses, kind of working to crack the code, so to speak. How much of that is what we're seeing through the first 9 games this year?
From the defense?
From as far as what defenses are doing to you, how much of that is a factor of them sort of is catching up to what you guys were doing last year?
Well, one of the things we had success later in the season last year was the RPO game. That with the combination of some of the play action stuff that we did, and we had success, and then teams had a whole off season to study us, and that's usually what happens. Whoever ends up winning the game, the Super Bowl this year, teams are going to study that team, and whether it's Rams, Saints, us again, Chiefs, whoever it might be, teams are going to look at that and say, okay, why were they successful? And then if there's an aspect of that game, how can we take it away? So in our case, it was the RPO play action. So we've seen some of that this season already, and we had, I believe we had 19 called rushes last night. I know 16 of them actually got carried out, but the others were RPOs that we actually completed the pass. And so, it's just getting a little bit harder. Defenses are scheming it a little bit more. But I think that's also why you're seeing probably some of the down the field throws opening up just a little bit off of the play action pass. And those are some of the things that we did in that second half last night, was being able to take advantage of some of that down the field.
Doug, do you have an update on Darby and just in general the state of your secondary right now? Do you anticipate any chance to see Sidney next week?
Darby, it's unfortunate, but he has an ACL tear. So he'll be missed for the year. So go ahead and start tweeting that out. Sidney is coming along. We're gonna get him a little bit of work this week, see where he's at. Obviously he's close. So we'll see as the week goes on. So I would say he's day to day. Jalen's probably still a little bit further away. And it was and Tim Jernigan's another one who we activated a couple weeks ago. So he's another one now that we can see where he's at this week as we go along. He was close. And I think the added or the extra rest for him is really gonna help going forward, and hopefully we get him back this week.
Doug, you're obviously pretty banged up right now, especially in that secondary. But looking at the first 9 games, you returned the majority of last year's team. So why do you think the execution or the urgency, as you've referred to in some cases, or really the lack of generating turnovers hasn't happened as much this year as it did last year?
I think there's a combination of things that have kind of showed up this year in regards to just the turnovers. I think one, pressure on a quarterback is an obvious thing. The more pressure you can put with your 4-man rush or 5-man rush, you can change an arm slot and the balls are up and things of that nature. The next thing would be just a lot of one-on-one matchups. Just doing your job. I've got you in coverage, and I'm going to go wherever you are based on, and I've got to focus on my technique, fundamentals, and play sound football. And right now, it's not showing up. It shows up in practice, but it's not showing up in the game. And those are the areas that we have to focus on and fix.
If there's one day, why is he only playing 29% of the snaps?
So we had a nice little plan for him, going into this game, and it was all huddle calls. And in fairness to Golden, third series of the game, I went straight up tempo to try to generate some spark, and it's all code words and different things and moving guys around a little bit, And so in fairness, I didn't want to put him in a situation where he felt uncomfortable. Going forward as we go, that will increase for him, and you'll see him in there a little bit more. Just to generate a spark. I thought, it goes back to, the opening couple series of the game. I mean, 4 plays and we're not doing too well. 3 and out and an interception. So I wanted to get the offense sparked just a little bit and get them on track.
So is there one place that we could guarantee the team comes out and plays its best? It was at home. I mean, the Link has been such a home field advantage for years since you've been here.
Yeah.
Lost 3 in a row, first time since 5 years. What's going on? Can you pinpoint it?
That's tough because our fans are the greatest fans. I mean, they come out and support, and it's loud. I mean, it's loud, and that's what you want, at the Link. And listen, I'm not going to stand up here and make excuses at all. It's just we're just not getting it done right now, and it should feel like that's our sanctuary at home. That's our turf. We have to defend that turf, and that's something that the guys take a lot of pride in, and we're not doing that right now. And it goes back to what I've challenged the team all season long is you're going to get everybody's best. When you're the defending world champs, you're going to get everybody's best every single week. It doesn't matter if the Cowboys' backs were against the wall. We were going to get their best last night, and it's been that way all season. So we have to expect it. We have to rise up to the occasion, and I'm encouraged by what I saw with the guys at the end of the game yesterday. Even though they were mad and disappointed, and they'll get it fixed.
Jim Schwartz's performance.
How would you assess what your running backs gave you last night?
I thought overall, for the limited amount of touches, I thought Josh played well, and he's improved each week. Do I think he can have a few more touches? I do. So that'll answer everybody's question right there. I do feel like he can touch the ball a few more times. I think Corey played with a little more sense of urgency. I think he's feeling fresher coming off the break, and his body's feeling healthy. And Wendell's he's been steady. He's been consistent in there, and we continue to build, continue to grow. But I think Josh has been the spark these last couple of weeks, and we'll continue to give him a few more opportunities.
So, I know you don't like obviously use injuries as an excuse, but like after Darby left, you guys were down like 4 of your top 5, defensive backs. I mean, how much of a difference does that make?
You have any eligibility left? Well, it is hard. I mean, it's hard because you're asking players that maybe don't get a lot of practice time, during the week to come and play. They're on the look teams, maybe they're giving the look to the offense or whatever it is, and next thing you know, they're having to play. And we just got to continue to coach those guys up just like we do everybody, and make sure now moving forward that they're ready. I thought Shandon, Sullivan stepped in and did some nice things out there, and it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same again, this week with those guys.
And so what's the plan for that spot that Darby's in? Sidney Jones will play.
Yeah, well, right now, obviously, we'll see if Sidney and where he's at this week. We have a couple days to have some discussion and then see where our players are. After practice on Wednesday, but you'll probably know more probably Wednesday.
You feel comfortable with Bosby going back practice spot?
Yeah, Bosby's been a bright spot. We had him in camp and had him, brought him back again, and he just got to get caught up, terminology and all that. But if need be, yeah, that's another possibility. All right. Oh.
How do those injuries impact your evaluation of your assistant coaches and all that they've had to deal with, the constant?
I mean, it's a little difficult, obviously, but listen, if we all had superstars at our positions, coaching would be easy, and that's why we wear the C on our hat to coach everybody. And so from my challenge to the staff is just that let's be teachers, let's be hard on our players, let's keep them accountable, and coach them like they're the starters, because they are, and so that's where we're at. Okay, thanks.